MySolarBackup.com. Look for the free report, Crisis Cooling, how to make absolutely sure your meat, milk, and medicines stay safe and cool in any power outage. Yours free at MySolarBackup.com.
It's rodeo time in Ocala. The 39th annual Ocala Shrine Rodeo returns to the Southeastern Livestock Pavilion September 3rd and 4th, 7:30 nightly. Witness the superstars of the PRCA as cowboys ride to help children walk. For tickets and information, check out OcalaShrineRodeo.com for broncs, bulls, and babes. The Ocala Shrine Pro Rodeo, September 3rd and 4th, 7:30 nightly.
You're getting ready to move and you work hard. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. You need pros. Trained professional moving experts to do the heavy lifting for you. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. They care about your things as much as you do, and they do it fast and right. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. Visit twomeninatruck.com and get moving.
Two Men in a Truck.
Johnny, what are you doing in the bathroom? What are you saying? Wait, where are your toy cars? Oh no, tell me you didn't. Honey, call Mike Scott Plumbing.
I didn't do anything.
For once that's true, but little Johnny flushed his toys down the toilet and now it's broke.
Yes. I mean, oh no. I'll get the phone. What's the toll-free number?
866-314-4443.
Got it. 866-314-4443.
Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, they do it.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line, and a new spoiler, and a new truck.
Yep, we can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too.
Well, as a matter of fact, join me, Matt Gibbs from Sunrise Automotive, every Tuesday at 10 for auto repair with personal care right here on The Source.
Get it for less at the DIY Home Center outlet. Get top quality real wood cabinets the same or less than the big box stores are selling the cheap stuff. And that's not all. Drywall screws big box stores are $6.47 a pound. At DIY only $4.99. Plus DIY has the largest selection of mobile home parts and accessories anywhere. From carpet to doors, get the DIY supplies you need for less. The DIY Home Center outlet. We are your building material closeout store. 2191 Northwest 10th Street, just 2 miles east of I-75.
Keep up with what's going on in the downtown area with Ocala Downtown Newspaper. Delivering thousands of newspapers to businesses in the downtown area, Ocala Downtown is there to keep you informed. They even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about it. It's simple. For more info, just call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223, and pick up your copy of the Downtown Ocala newspaper today.
And now read Ocala Downtown Newspaper online.
Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Hi-oh! That's right, Tom Schmitz here. Thursday morning. Galen Newnoff from Life South joins us, brought to you by the good folks that just shipped Penn Flooring and Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation. Galen, two things last night in the baseball world. One shows me, in my opinion, how the game has changed drastically. And the other one was an exciting finish to a game that I hope the commissioner understands needs to stay as part of the game. Let's talk about that first. The 11-inning, extra inning game between the Cincinnati Reds and the Atlanta Braves ends with Cincinnati scoring a run in the top of the 11th to go up 6-5. After Atlanta had blown a 5-0 lead, Cincinnati had clawed back, hitting a 2-run homer to tie it up 5 in the top of the 9th. Top of the 11th, Cincinnati scores a run, goes up 6-5 because the runner starts at second base, in the extra innings. Atlanta then throws a 3 spot up on the board with a walk-off to win 8-6 last night. And, yes, I'm a Braves fan, so, yes, I was glad they won the game. But I'm also a fan of baseball and excitement, and baseball hasn't done a lot to try to bring excitement back into the game, and it's getting sometimes lapped by football and sometimes the NBA. And I think this extra inning, runner on second base starting the extra innings, I think that's a rule that needs to stay in baseball, and I hope Manfred doesn't get rid of it.
Well, he's already said he is, right?
Well, he said he might get rid of that, but the other thing, the 7-inning games are going.
No, and I'll have to go back then because from what I understand is it's done. It's not going to happen. It's gone.
Baseball gets in its own way. This is an exciting new rule that would maybe get some younger people more interested in the game because of the excitement of it. This is where baseball gets in its own way sometimes.
Absolutely, it's different, right? It's truly more of a shootout kind of a thing, and I think it's really cool. I agree. I hope they keep it, but it's gone.
Also last night,
it's gone.
Also last night, Corbin Burns, who is the Milwaukee Brewers pitcher, who is one of the leading candidates for the NL Cy Young, opened the game last night with 10 straight strikeouts against the Chicago Cubs. 10 up, 10 down, all by strikeouts, tying a record held by Tom Seaver, who did it in 1970.
Yeah.
Oh, but wait.
Yeah.
Aaron Nola did it this year as well, and that's my problem. You've had a record that Tom Seaver did in 1970. It hadn't been equaled till this year, and now it's been equaled twice, and it's because home run or strikeout. That's all batters care about now.
Well, it has changed because once they fixed the spin rate, things changed a little bit. But to be honest with you, it's just the Cubs are really bad.
They're not good.
Right?
They're not good.
They traded everybody who had. They have no marquee.
They have a Double-A and Triple-A team playing at the major league level. Yeah, they're Double-A and Triple-A right now.
So you got to put that in there. And by the way, that's not new to baseball. That kind of thing happens. I thought it was pretty cool, though. I saw it. His stuff was nasty.
I just don't. I understand why they do these massive sales right at the trade deadline and everything, but you would think that somebody like Rizzo would not have been a Chicago Cub. They would have let go. And I know he's got a lot of value on the open market, and that's why they did it. And the Yankees scooped him up. But, and I know it's not the same baseball that I watched as a kid where, a player would stay. Like Dale Murphy could have went somewhere else, but he stayed with the Braves his whole career for the most part. Ryan Sandberg could have went somewhere else. You don't see that anymore. But Rizzo seemed like one of those guys that, South Florida guy, he seemed like one of those guys that was going to be there a while. That he was going to be the cornerstone of the Chicago Cubs for his entire career. And the Cubs were like, yep, gone, deuces, get what we can get for you. That's another problem, baseball. But
the Cubs aren't going to win for another 2 years, so I have no problem whatsoever with them making that decision.
And I think Anthony Rizzo,
it was the right decision for their ball club.
I think Rizzo may come back because his contract's up at the end of this year. The Yankees are only renting him. With all the stuff he did in the Chicago community and everything, although I heard a stat this morning. Are you ready for this? A stat this morning? 477 murders in Chicago so far this year.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I may not want to go to Chicago either, you know what I mean?
Rizzo's gone. Rizzo's prime is behind him, too. So what do you think Rizzo is?
He's a serviceable DH, and he's a serviceable. He's going to be a serviceable DH for the next 3-4 years.
I don't know what you mean by serviceable, but he definitely can't go to the. Then why in the world would he ever go to the National League?
Well, I just think that loyalty, but there is no such thing in sports anymore.
No,
it's a business. I know it's a business. It's a business.
Yeah, I mean, their job is to get as much money as they can for as quickly as they can.
And because it's a business, do you think? And I read this story the other day about people who aren't in the Hall of Fame yet. There was a story on Yahoo that had the best player on every team that's not in the Hall. The best player from each franchise that's not in the Hall, and the St. Louis Cardinals put Kurt Flood as the article put Kurt Flood as the best St. Louis Cardinal not in the Hall of Fame. And I thought, but they're never going to put him in the Hall of Fame because the owners think he ruined baseball. There's still some owners that think Kurt Flood ruined baseball by doing the free agency thing.
If there's a definition of blackball, and it's not Colin Kaepernick, it's Kurt Flood.
100%.
It destroyed the man's life. And he's the reason why there are these free agent contracts. And what's sad is the Major League Baseball Players Union, which is Players Association, which is a mess, just doesn't even recognize that. I don't know. I've always looked at Kurt Flood and said, this guy was a stud. And he just, it bothers me. It bothers me a lot.
And all he did was say, if the owners are going to treat this like a business, I'm going to treat this like a business. You can't treat me, you can't keep me like livestock. I got a contract. At the end of my contract, I should be able to shop it around. And, at the time, I think it was 22 owners or something. We're like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to let him do that. Well, ultimately it was able to do that, but it cost Kurt Flood his career, a career that by all estimations, I remember him when I was a kid. Kurt Flood was a stud. He could play. Yep. Him and Lou Brock in that outfield, they could play. And I think
absolutely.
I think that he gets punished more for the business of professional sports. And by the way, without Kurt Flood, Alex Rodriguez doesn't get 10 years, $250 million from the Texas Rangers. Without Kurt Flood, Magic Johnson and his group doesn't buy the Dodgers for $2 billion because they know Fox Sports has got a $4 billion TV package they're fixing to sign with them. None of that happens without Kurt Flood fighting the system in the early 70s.
Well, I think you're limiting his importance to sports. Without Kurt Flood, there's no free agency in any sport, Tom.
I'll give you that. You're entirely correct. Without Kurt Flood, there's no free agency in any sports.
Absolutely correct. None. It just doesn't exist.
He's the business side, Jackie Robinson.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the fact that he won made it all the worse for these people. So I'm not surprised at all. I'm hoping one day he gets in there. But man, we'll see. It'll be a lot. Even the players. That's what bothers me is like the players committee hasn't voted him in.
And you would think with all the money the players have made after him, they would say, "Hey, thanks, man. You're in."
Yeah. I mean, he died. And borderline broke. It's just it's one of those things that bothers me. It just does. I'm sorry, and I think it's a disaster for what they've done to him.
Did you ever think you would say this? I never thought I would say this because I firmly blamed, and probably erroneously, but I blamed Donald Fear for killing my baseball card collection by shutting down the 1994 season and killing the World Series and making baseball where people just. I know people that still have not been back to a major league game since '94, since they canceled the season in '94.
Well, that's crazy.
Well, I know.
Well, that's crazy. If you know them, that's because they're dead, or they never really liked baseball in the first place.
But I never thought I would say.
I mean, come on.
The Players Association needs Donald Fear back.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
They really do.
He's the best. He was the best to ever do it. So that's for darn sure.
I mean, because it's a dumpster fire. The Players Association with Major League Baseball's a dumpster fire.
Sure is.
I mean,
sure
it really. The fact they let Manfred get away with the stuff he gets. And, I know he's the present one, and it's always like, the worst commissioner is the one that's going on right. But I promise you, I think he's the worst commissioner in baseball history.
I got to think about that. There's been some pretty terrible ones.
I mean,
I think the NFL is pretty terrible.
No, I'm talking about just in major leagues. I think he's the worst. I think he's the worst commissioner in the history of Major League Baseball. I really do.
I need to think about that. There's been some terrible ones. I need to really, yeah. I mean, he's up there. He's hard for me to beat, but I don't have a list in front of me. But yeah, if you were to just ask me on the side of the street, I'm like, Manfred's pretty terrible.
He's not good.
Because
He's
he'll
not
do
good.
one thing right, and then he'll get the next thing completely wrong.
So
that's what drives me nuts.
So tonight, the throwback to the 1919 Black Sox or White Sox, depending on how you look at it, shoeless Joe Jackson being banned from baseball. So he had to go to a field in Iowa and come out of the corn to play baseball again. The Chicago White Sox will take on the New York Yankees in what is being billed as the Field of Dreams baseball game, but not really. It's going to be in a baseball stadium that's built just to the left of the actual Field of Dreams field, where they did hold a Little League game yesterday that weather got rained out halfway through. But so they're not actually playing on the Field of Dreams, but they're playing right next to the Field of Dreams. Once again, this is, to me, somebody in baseball, somebody in the front office of baseball got this one right. This, to me, is just like the, hockey with the outdoor game once a year, harkening back to the old days. This is one of those things that it's one of those things baseball can do that can get interest up in a game that needs fans that are not diehard baseball fans, just your average sports fan. This is a league that needs the average sports fan to get their interest peaked. And I think tagging it to the Field of Dreams movie in this field in Iowa is a very, very smart move by Major League Baseball.
Yeah, they had an event there, like a celebrity game, a couple of weeks ago to kind of promote it with former Major League Baseball players, and it was pretty cool. They all walked through the corn and did all that. So I agree with you. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal idea.
Because now they do this. If they're going to start doing this, they may do this on a regular. They already do a Major League Baseball game the night before the Little League World Series opens. So those guys up in Williamsport, they go up Williamsport and play. So those guys, the children at the Little League World Series, can watch Major League Baseball players play. These are the kind of things baseball's going to have to do to start winning over a younger audience. Because, be honest with you, Galen, you and I would venture to say, you and I, our age group, the 45 to 55 age group, is probably the last real diehard baseball fans. Because to me, baseball is the best sport that there is, even better than football or basketball. To me, that's just my opinion. But it's because we watched it all the time and we played, and baseball was a major thing back then. It's not a major. Your kids could take baseball or leave it, I would think. And a lot of kids, a lot of teenagers, 20-somethings, baseball's not even on their radar sometimes.
Your baseball is the second fastest growing sport in America as far as TV ratings. When you compare them over the last 3 years, baseball is up, right?
Right, but it's regional television. It's regional television.
Okay, but who cares? Who cares? Right? That's how you become a fan. You're a fan of the Braves because that's your regional team.
No, I was a fan of the Braves because my dad's from Wisconsin.
Okay. Well, again, however you got to be a fan, it's because that was your team, whether it was your dad,
right,
or you saw them. Like for me, that's where I went to spring training games. I was in Boston, to watch the Red Sox in Winter Haven. Whatever it is, that's how you become a fan of the sport. And sometimes it takes time. So the ratings are great. They have more viewers than any other sport in the country, and this whole thing that it's dying, I think it's wrong.
No, I didn't say it was dying. I think the interest is not there like it was when we were kids. I didn't think it was dying, but the NFL was not the conglomerate it is now when we were kids, and the NBA played on tape delay.
You can't compare it. You can't compare it to when we were kids. Because, first of all, we didn't have YouTube. My kids don't watch TV. They don't.
You're right.
They don't watch TV. My kids have never watched the nightly news. They watch everything on YouTube, Netflix, right? That is occasionally they'll watch something on Amazon Prime or Disney Channel, right? Disney, right? If it's a Marvel movie or something. but they're streaming everything. There's no reason for them to ever have like a cable subscription. They will never own one.
Well, I don't have. I stream everything. My Braves game, I stream. I don't. I cut the cable 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
That's exactly right. But my point is, they consume. Like my son would consider himself a huge basketball fan. He doesn't watch basketball games. He watches highlights of the basketball game the next morning, and occasionally I'll see it on his second screen if it's a game he's really into. But he considers himself a basketball fan. So I don't. It's a completely different world. It just is. I don't, and I think Major League Baseball has really done a good job. Their Major League Baseball app is outstanding. They have the best app of all of the sports, period. So I think they're doing some things really, really well. What they need to do is make the players a little bit more approachable. And by the way, if there's a sport that's dying, it's NASCAR. I saw some of their viewership is way down. Their engagement is way down.
Galen.
They're struggling.
Galen, if there's a sport that's dying, it's NASCAR. Look, we played taps on NASCAR 4 years ago.
I know. I just keep. I guess in my brain, I'm like, why is it? It shouldn't be this bad.
When they removed Bubba and Earl from NASCAR, that was the death knell of NASCAR.
True.
I mean, it's just a fact.
True.
When they removed Bubba and Earl from NASCAR, you take away your fan base that were, living up in the hills drinking moonshine. You take that fan base away. You've taken the fan base away that built the sport. So it's NASCAR. It's and
they have to figure it out. They do need to figure it out, and I don't know. I'm just. It's sad. I mean, I read every article I read right now. It's just like, well, they did this wrong. They did this wrong. They did this wrong, and it's pretty obvious. Their new car is going to be pretty terrible.
Oh, it's going to be horrible.
We'll see.
I've seen,
it frustrates me.
I've seen the prototypes of it. It's not a good. It's not. It doesn't look like it's going to be good.
Again, the fastest, the sport that's about to just dominate is F1. F1 is just so good, and if you want to get a taste of F1, go on Netflix and watch Drive to Survive. It's a phenomenal behind-the-scenes look at F1, and I've been a huge F1 fan since I was in my teenage years. I think it's just it's by far and away the best motorsport, and it's just phenomenal. And this year's been incredibly good.
Galen.
So
the best motorsport.
Fantastic.
The best. You're so wrong. The best motorsport is monster trucks. We know that.
Fair. Well, it is pretty good, but the problem is they do the same thing every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's jump these wrecked cars. Let's jump this hill. Let's flip the truck. Oh, look, my axle just snapped in half. Next truck up.
And the backflips are cool. By the way, I love monster trucks. It's just not a sport. It's like wrestling to me.
I love wrestling, but it's not a sport. So. Hey, so are you? We got about 4 minutes left with you, so I want to talk to you. You have a family. You're a man that stays well connected to what's going on. You got an eye to the tropics for Fred? He's down to a depression as he come off of it's Hispaniola, but now looks like he may strengthen again and come and ride the West Coast up into the Big Bend area and come on shore around the Big Bend area somewhere Saturday night, Sunday morning. An area that is at a deluge where rivers are up and flooded and just bad air. Swanee's about to crest and everything. Do you have an eye on this storm just because as a Floridian you have to keep your eye on it, but with, just wait and see kind of thoughts?
I haven't even looked at it yet.
You hadn't looked at it yet, really?
We're supposed to have a meeting about it today, so I really need to look at it. I've just been so focused on other things. So yeah, I haven't looked at it. I know.
Yeah, they say
somebody's like, I'm like, I didn't know there was a tropical storm out there until the meeting request came over, and I'm like, oh, wow.
Well, and I just, every time I hear him say tropical storm or tropical depression, Fred, now, it's back to tropical depression, but it's still with Fred as a moniker. Every time I hear Fred, all I can think about is Jerry Reed saying, Fred, don't make me come in that water after you. Fred, don't make me come in there after you. And then he's chest deep in the lake going to get Fred and Smokey and the Bandit. That's all I can think about.
I understand. I watched Gator the other night.
That's a good movie.
It's on something.
It's on Stars. It's on Stars. It's a good movie.
I forgot about that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. That
72 or 73, Burt Reynolds. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Completely different era.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They did stuff in movies back then they could not do in movies now. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Although I was watching IFC channel the other night, Independent Film Channel, and they ran Blazing Saddles, and they didn't censor any of it. I was shocked. Blazing Saddles ran uncensored on the International Film Channel, the Independent Film Channel, IFC.
They're pretty good at that. IFC used to. There's a kung fu movie that I really, really like, The Blind Swordsman, that he used to put on there. They used to show on there, and I just think he's fantastic.
Now, see,
Itchy.
Do you have those things when somebody says something or mentions something, it immediately takes you back to a point of your childhood? Do you have situations like that sometimes? Because you just said there was a kung fu movie I like, and I didn't even know what movie the movie you said. I may have seen it, I may have not have seen it. But as soon as you said there was a kung fu movie I liked, I was 11 years old sitting in the Norwood Blue and Gold Theater watching the 2 Saturday matinee kung fu pictures with a box of popcorn and a Coke. Just that quick.
I think my kids laugh at me, but they all like kung fu movies now. I love kung fu movies.
Oh,
I think they're incredibly
First
fun.
off, they were great. They were great action, and then the dubbing, the overdubbing was just the greatest.
It's the best part.
Oh, it was the best part.
I've seen them all. I want to be
Well,
very,
he'd go.
I want to be very clear.
You would
I've seen
see.
them all.
You would hear this. This is what you'd hear. Damn you! You killed my brother. The mouth going 90 miles an hour. 4 words come out. 4.
Well, it's in some of them, and by the way, I think Run Run Shaw deserves a star in Hollywood. The Run Run Shaw brothers, and the whole family. They made a movie a week, Tom.
Well,
Every
look,
week they made a new movie.
you deserve a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame for what you do at the Blood Life South. But tell us where the Bloodmobile is today.
Hey, today Bloodmobile is going to be right there on the street. Come by and see us at Walmart, and it's always right on the Boulevard. There's a key to the Boulevard. Please get the blood and give blood. If there's going to be a storm,
Talk to you tomorrow, Galen. Be right back.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
President Biden once insisted that 2 decades of U.S. backing had left Afghanistan forces capable of defending themselves. That's not what's happening, as another province has fallen to the Taliban over the last 24 hours.
They've got to fight for themselves, fight for their nation. The United States